Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to build Power BI reports in Microsoft Fabric. We're going to build a report from an Excel online source. This is going to be coming from a SharePoint site. So I'm in Fabric at the moment. If you don't have a workspace, you need to create one. But first off, what we're going to do is we're going to create a lakehouse. A lakehouse is like a data warehouse. It's going to be the main repository where we're going to store our data. Okay, now that our lakehouse is created, we can go get data and we can use a data flow gen 2 and we'll just give it a name. Disable the git integration for now. Reason being is it may disable some features. Okay, so this data flow here is giving us an option to be able to import our data from Excel Online. So we can go here, and what it's asking for is it's asking for a path to Excel file that's stored in SharePoint. Your URL needs to be structured like this if you're going to pull it from SharePoint. So you need your company name and then the name of the SharePoint site /shared documents, and then this is going to be the actual name of your Excel file. So here we can see the preview of the data that's going to be imported. It's basically just a bunch of sales data. Okay, so with this data, what we want to do is we want to append the data on refresh rather than kind of creating a whole new thing. So we're just going to click this X next to the data, next to the lakehouse, and we're just going to reconfigure the destination. So just add the destination again, click Lakehouse, go next. So we're going to create a new table. So come to the Lakehouse and then choose this Lakehouse as the source, or as the destination, and then go next. Then uncheck these automatic settings and then we're going to click to use append. So when new data gets created, it's going to append it to the existing file instead of trying to recreate the new one. And so when that's done, just hit save settings. Okay, now that's saved, we can hit publish. Okay, so a couple of things have been created here. We've got the lakehouse which we've created. It's then created a staging lakehouse and a staging warehouse as well. So to create our Power BI dashboard, we need to create it from a semantic model. A semantic model is going to be a representation of the objects in our data that we're going to create visualizations from. So we can create a semantic model by going into the lakehouse that we've created, and we can create a new semantic model. And then we can select the source that we want, which is our financial tables, and hit confirm. So in here, you can create relationships with other tables. So if you had an Excel workbook with multiple tables, you could build relationships there. We're not going to do that in this case. We're just going to build something simple. So in this view, you can also use DAX. DAX is a query language. It's basically just like using Excel, but you could add a kind of additional objects in here. So for example, we've got gross sales here. But we could maybe summarize or get the sum of all the gross sales for each year, or for the total years available. So it's really similar to Excel. So use financials to select the table, and then we can use the gross sales there. So we can see our DAX query has been added here. So this is the semantic model created. So if we go back to our workspace, our semantic models, we can now look to create the report. So we can go auto create report, and we now have a Power BI report created based on the Excel Online spreadsheet. So let's save our report. Okay, now that we've got our dashboard, we now want the dashboard to be able to refresh when new data gets added in. So say, for example, we come over to our source table and we add a new row. Let's say add something in here, and let's say it's come from Brazil. Then we would expect to be able to see this be updated. So, for example, if we add visualizations for a country, we'd want to see something from Brazil, but we're not really seeing anything there, even if we refresh the report. So we have to do a couple of things. We have to change some default settings. So by default, Fabric disables the refresh of data. You would have noticed before that when we created our Lakehouse, we had this SQL Analytics endpoint created. This Analytics endpoint is what connects the data sources for us. So we have to change some settings on here. So coming over here, we need to enable the sync default Power BI semantic model. This will allow the data to refresh. So if we hit that and select on, the last thing we need to do is we need to hit refresh on the data flow. So the data flow, you can think about it, it's kind of like a pipeline that you'd see in Azure Data Factory. It's facilitating a refresh between the source and between the Lakehouse, which is kind of like the data warehouse in Fabric. So this is the data flow here. If we hit refresh on this, then this refresh will then grab the latest changes from Excel Online. The data flow is refreshed. So if we come back into our Power BI report, we hit refresh on the visuals, we can see that Brazil has been added in, which was the newest piece of data that we added into the report. Now you've got an up-to-date report. But what if you want the report to stay refreshed automatically, because we have to manually refresh the data flow, and that can be an issue if we have teams expecting the report to be updated daily. So if we want our data and report to refresh automatically, we can use a data pipeline. So if we come back to our workspace, we can create a new item and we can create a data pipeline. So here we can select to use pipeline activity, and we're going to use the data flow because we want to refresh our data flow to be able to get the latest changes. So we select to use our existing data flow, and what we can do is we can set it to run on a schedule. So we might want to schedule it just to run every day, and I guess we can give it a time. Let's say we get it to run 4:30 a.m. so it's ready for us in the morning, and we just start it from today, finishing tomorrow, and then hit apply. So then we can validate the pipeline to see if there's any errors. And then what we can do is we can go ahead and add a new row. Let's add another country in here. Well, let's say we made another extra 900,000. So what we can do now is we can run the pipeline to see if it's going to refresh the data. Okay, the pipeline has succeeded. So let's go back to our Power BI dashboard and let's refresh to see if our new country is there. And we can see our new country has been added. So our dashboard will now stay up to date with the latest data. We just have to manually refresh the visualizations when the pipeline successfully runs. And there you have it. That's how you create Power BI dashboards in Fabric, and keep them up to date by using the data pipelines. If you like this video, please hit the like button, leave a comment below if you found it helpful, if there was something I missed. And if you want to get more content around this, please feel free to subscribe. Thanks.